The latest season of Living Alone in the Wild has officially begun. 10 strong players in the New Zealand island wilderness. They had excellent hunting skills, got a lot of food. One of the longest surviving contestants will receive a $250,000 prize. First up is Jason. This place is very strange to him. He was ready to die. The second contestant is Tamika. It's a 51-year-old woman. She has a really beautiful beach. As a hunter, she's planning a killing spree here. The third contestant, Leanne. It gave her an old feel, be scared at the same time. The fourth contestant, Andre. He's looking forward to hunting here more than anything. Looks like a very strong player. The fifth contestant, Susan. Here comes another granny. This season's contestants are either moms or uncles. The sixth player, KRZYV. He felt very excited when he arrived here. He observed that the weather was not very good. The shelter was set up from the start. The seventh contestant, Rick. He just wants to challenge himself. Be the strongest king in your heart. The eighth player is Jack. He is a full-time hunter. Strength is also quite strong. Contestant number 9, Mike. Look at his stocky frame. This is not an easy player. The 10th player, Chase. Only 27 years old. She was the youngest soy sauce player in the game. Opening day. All 10 contestants appear. The other 9 contestants are all in their 40s and 50s. Only Chase is the youngest, compared to other big guys. He's got a pretty obvious soy sauce gene. Snow has begun to accumulate on the nearby snow-capped mountains. It'll be winter here soon. There's not much time for players to build shelters. He brought a bow and arrow. Take a bow and arrow and start exploring. Chase is not your average loser. He is a retired soldier. Anyone who's ever watched a high survive 21 days knows that. Ex-servicemen are worse than dogs. Never mind how hard he blows in the VCR. Hunting in the zoo is okay. If you're out in the wild, can't do anything but starve. Chase said to come and live alone in the wilderness for the $250,000. That's a big breath for a young age. There was a stream near where Chase was standing, but you don't see any prey here. This high guy doesn't start with a shelter, just start hunting. He observed that the little tree had been rubbed by prey. There should be a lot of deer around here. I think he's addicted to hunting. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been possible to rush. 20 kilometers away is the location of Tamika. This is a beautiful place. The neighborhood is very beautiful. She doesn't even want to build a shelter. Okay, I just want to sit quietly by myself. But driven by money, she gave up her idea anyway. Do things you don't want to do, such as building shelters and making fires. These pine skins make a good fire. If it's too much, they can also be collected to make mattresses. A good shelter can protect you from wind and rain, so she had to choose a suitable position. She prefers the gravestone-like location. This is close to water, and there are big trees all around. Only in the middle is a vacant lot. Is a very natural feng shui treasure. Just build a shelter here. Future generations will have good jobs and good health. The more the mother-in-law looks at her son-in-law, the more she likes it. That's Mike's position 28 kilometers away. His location is very good for the beach. Both sea driving and fishing are first class. He was surprised by the environment. Looks like a rural guy who hasn't seen the world. His survival strategy was to build shelter and fire on the first day. Mike has a lot of wilderness experience. He's a rugby player himself, so the physical fitness is very strong. Mike is strong though. The ability to do the job must be beyond question. The idiot can eat a lot and has a weak ability to starve. He brought a log, a tent used to secure the shelter. It's bumpy here. Is this really the place to lie? Mosquitoes clearly visible in front of the camera. It's scary to think about at night. Mike set himself a survival target of 60 days. I don't think that's enough time to win a championship. That's Rick's position 44 kilometers away. Just been here a few minutes. I got mosquitoes all over my hands. One more second and you're gonna get mummified by them. Rick explored along the coast, saw deer footprints on the ground, and it's very fresh. Rick guessed it was a big deer. So can he be the second player alone in the wilderness to hunt a deer? Rick chose a piece of wood. This piece of wood is not used to make a fire. Cut one end down to make a wooden hammer. Here Rick ponders the survival factor. He had to solve the 4 major problems of water, fire, shelter, and food. Don't worry about the water. Once the shelter is built, the fire is lit. Rick is very confident about this survival challenge. He wanted to be the last one standing. It will be winter here soon. You have to prepare well in advance. Tamika this way. She heard noises coming from nearby, but he doesn't have the ability to hunt, which means that Tamika is not destined for the championship. Her father taught her how to use a bow and arrow, and he won a design championship himself. But I am a vegetarian. I haven't eaten meat in 8 years. You've grown so strong without meat. He smelled deer near here. She also said she did not like meat. Tamika, if you don't hunt, then it proves you're unpatriotic. Chase has been hanging around the neighborhood. There are prey tracks all over the neighborhood. This is grass that must have been eaten by the deer. The soft shoots of the plant are edible. Chase is going to cook it and eat it. The first thing to solve is the problem of making fire. This tree is relatively dry. Chase scraped off some sawdust with a knife. Each person can only bring 10 pieces of equipment. It's very limited what you can take. After stripping away the essentials, basically nothing to bring. There are lots of mosquitoes here. Even when you're building a fire, you get mosquito bites. 5.5 kilometers away is the location of Leanne. There are no beauties this season. There are always some old ladies or grandma contestants. The jungle is very humid. It's hard to find a good spot for a shelter. A little bird followed Leanne. He was showing her the way. She came to the beach to collect firewood. The firewood here is relatively dry. Leanne plans to build a shelter for Mr. Fire. Leanne's husband Rob was a contestant in Australia's first season. Rob had a decent year last year, summed up the experience and told Leanne, "Let's hope she wins with her experience." In this year, she learned a lot about wilderness life. He was very skilled in hunting and fishing. Her goal this time is to get $250,000. Then buy a piece of land. I'm glad she's telling the truth. It's better than some guy talking about proving himself. Temporary shelter is very simple. Just prop up the tent any way you want. Anything to keep out the rain. There's been no fire on Chase's end. This high guy is ex-military. It's hard to start a fire in the wild. I've seen the 21 Days of Hippies before. I know a lot of ex-servicemen who can't even start a fire. After changing a piece of wood, soon a fire was lit. The fire produced a great deal of smoke. It has a certain effect on mosquito repellent. The first thing you do when you have a fire is boil a pot of water. Chase put the plants from today's harvest into it to cook. Tastes a little bit like asparagus. It's not exactly a pot roast, is it? It's nice to be able to eat on the first day. The time came to evening. Mike went back to the shelter early to rest. For the first time in decades, I didn't go out for a late-night snack. Obviously not used to today. Suddenly, he heard an animal cry. But it didn't feel terrible. I think it's amazing. In the middle of nowhere like this, only gringos who don't believe in ghosts can stay. Like the guys in the comments section who did something bad. I'd probably be scared to shit on the spot. Time to the next day. Tamika woke up feeling like she'd had a good night's sleep. Had a horrible night. There's a palpable sense of familiarity around today. This environment is really beautiful. Tamika was exploring nearby. I saw an 82-year-old sputum on the ground. It's sticky to the touch. These big mushrooms are all over a tree. What is she doing? Wake up in the morning and just sit here and look at the view. Grandma, please do something right, will you? Sit here and talk about what it means. As long as you're sitting here taking a shit, I could write you out as a flower. Rick sat on the shore all morning meditating. 58-year-old man, wearing a pair of fucking pants. He had heard that he would die in 5 or 6 years after retirement. The rumor scared him to death. So now he's working all the time. It's about 5 or 6 degrees right now. He also dared to take off his clothes and bathe in the water. Rick has a lot of wilderness experience. He often teaches his son about survival at home. It's not easy being kicked out by your wife to make money at this age. It's a tougher place to live than he thought. Rick was boiling water on the shore. This pot of water is his breakfast. Maybe it could be dinner too. He had a long beard before he came. He straightened his beard with charcoal. I can't get used to him being so laid back. A hole in a tree was found on the shore. He would have decided to sleep in it if there were more room. He's tidying up this hole in the tree. If you can heat this rock and put it in a tree hole, maybe it'll be warm. Mike's working on the shelter door. A large bird appeared in the shelter. This is the first time I've seen food delivered to my door. Silly birds do not know human darkness when they first see. Good thing Mike didn't hunt it. You can tell Mike is a single-minded man. Never do the second thing while tidying the shelter door. While rummaging through the dirt, an earthworm was found. Took him by surprise. As if you didn't know there were worms in the dirt. This earthworm is a good sign for him, because this thing can be used for fishing. Mike built a stone fireplace here. He said he was a football player. I was out of breath at every little thing. This high guy looks so strong. It's actually weaker than a vegetable dog. He can't stop coughing. So what's going on here? Mike's chest felt very tight. There was a noticeable discomfort. Rick stood on the bank in a daze, holding 2 rocks in my head. This high guy, I don't know what he's doing. The shelter was not set up. You don't go looking for food. A whole day wasted, lying on the shore at night, missing his family. It's his wife's birthday. Now I really want to have sex with my wife. Today is the second night. That's a long time to miss your family. This high guy must be a soy sauce contestant. He won't last more than a few episodes without watching. Mike's side of the aisle is in trouble. Coughing during the day until now. He developed severe wheezing and coughing. Get the program on the phone right now. When the show crew gets here, I can't get Mike on the phone anymore. My goodness. Isn't this high guy gonna make it past the first episode? So what else can we expect from the contestants in the next episode? Look forward to an update in the next video.